All right, welcome to episode 36 of the Inside Real Estate Podcast. I'm Brian Castro, your host, and today we have on. Do you actually tell people your initial when you say your name?
When I say Lauren House?
Do you just say Lauren House, or do you say Lauren M. House?
Oh, good question. I do not say Lauren M. House. I just say Lauren House.
Perfect.
You're
so
funny.
in case you haven't figured it out, today we have on Lauren House. She is a real estate agent, podcaster, and she seems pretty cool. I guess we'll find out during the podcast. All right. So I've been super excited to have you on. You're actually our second. The first one was kind of a little didn't go so well, but our first virtual podcast. Not the person was great. The setup was kind of mess.
Thank you for clearing that up. I was like, wow, did you just rat them out?
No. She was awesome. But yeah. So the first question I have today, do you believe in destiny?
Because I actually have this question that I ask myself. You know, when you get a feeling about something and then it happens, or something happens because how do I say this? So like, for example, we're going to use dating. So I have a very specific type. I like tall, white, skinny guys. That's what I like. So my question to myself was, am I attracted to that because that's what I'm supposed to end up with? Or do I want it so much that I ended up with it?
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does.
So are you really in control? I don't know. Yes, I believe in destiny.
Okay. Because the reason I asked is because of your last name. Do you think you were meant to be a real estate agent?
You know, I guess so. I haven't really thought about that. It's everybody loves it. And in the beginning of my career, nobody actually put the two and two together. But the longer I've been in real estate, the more often people are like, wow, that's your last name. Like my chiropractor is Dr. Healy. Is that
Go
right?
figure,
that's
right?
Kind of cool. It's perfect. So
Yeah,
I feel like it goes hand in hand. I can't see myself doing anything else.
Yeah. Well, that's good. What did you do before you were a realtor?
Partied.
Didn't we all?
I tried on a few different hats. I was a worldwide event planner for just a year, and I also taught yoga. And I love teaching yoga because I was able to help people, which is, I know, the most generic answer on the planet. But when you care so much about something and you want to help people be better, I wanted to take that from the body to their finances and to their general, building wealth, because yoga doesn't pay that well and I'm very expensive. So I needed to figure out how to make it happen and still care about people the way I care about people, but not suffer at the same time.
Okay. Very cool. So talk about like getting into real estate. How did that happen for you? Like you needed to figure out something that was different, that worked better for you, but what was the path?
I graduated in 2008 from college. That's just when I graduated. As Malcolm Gladwell says in Outliers, there's nothing you can do about that. That's just the nature of my timeline. And so I got into commercial real estate right out of college, and I really wanted a formal job because I wanted to wear formal business clothes. Like I wanted to get dressed up and look cute every day. So I only focused on jobs that allowed me to wear the clothes I wanted to wear. And I ended up in commercial real estate. Yeah. And so I had a whole new love for buildings and bays and parking and mezzanines that I didn't even know existed. And that was in Phoenix, Arizona. And when I moved to California, I really got hard into the yoga scene. And that's when I really tried out to teach because I had been practicing for so long. Oh my gosh. But you can't live on a yoga salary in LA. It's just kind of impossible. So the guy I was dating at the time pushed me back into real estate and was like, why don't you go do this? It's better paychecks, kind of everything I said earlier. Mm-hmm. And so I tried to get that business off the ground in California. And when you move somewhere and you don't know anybody, it's really hard to start a business because you don't have any contacts. So I was really starting from scratch. And so then I decided to move back to Scottsdale, Arizona. And so I was starting a business for a third time. And it was just so much easier. I have my network there. I'm from there. So people from kindergarten were reaching out. It was just automatic trust and credibility because I had already built the network just by being there, living there, having friends there. I had a different status there than I did in LA.
Sure.
And so once I saw kind of how easy it was for me, it was easy for the business to take off. And it was so much more fun to get into it because I could use like essentially my party resources and my childhood resources and bring them together to catapult me into real estate.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Now how long have you been doing the bi-coastal thing?
2 years.
2 years.
I've learned a lot. I've wasted a lot of money. I did do some research. I interviewed agents who work 2 cities. And the things that they told me were very different than the advice I would give somebody now.
Okay.
So
home base is Arizona.
Home base is Arizona.
And where is the offshoot?
In Miami.
Okay.
Yes. And then I also have I obviously have a California license, but it's inactive. So I just refer all that out.
What was the biggest factor that made you choose Miami?
A client asked me to get my real estate license.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's a huge honor.
Yeah. So it wasn't just the weather.
Nobody wants to walk around with this hair. No. Everyone always asks, is it dry or the humidity?
No.
Which is worse? And I'm like, definitely the humidity, because at least you can look cute and dry.
Yeah. I remember I went with a couple of friends. We were doing a guys trip down to Miami, and we stayed at the hotel we were staying at was like around the corner from Clevelander. So we were out there and we went out one night, and I'm like, I had to stop in the middle of the night. I'm like, thank God we're close, because I had to go take a shower and change. It's so freaking humid. It's ridiculous.
It's a weird thing, because sometimes I'll like grab something and I'm like thinking, this is kind of wet, because I'm from Arizona. Like, I don't know what that means. And so I've learned how humidity really does affect you.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a kind of an exhausting climate to be in, to be honest.
What is the biggest adjustment you've had to make to, I guess, life and or business doing the two-ended thing, going back and forth between both places?
On a day-to-day basis, the time difference is very hard.
Yeah.
As silly as that sounds. It's either 2 hours or 3 hours, because Arizona doesn't change. Most people don't know that. Arizona doesn't change, so it's either 2 hours or 3 hours throughout the year. 3 hours is a lot of a time difference. When you're trying to set meetings, I wake up super early, so going to bed at like 8 o'clock is only 5 o'clock in Arizona for half the year, which means I need to have somebody on the ground, because I tend to end up staying up to like midnight or 1 o'clock when I'm in Miami, and I have business in Arizona, because stuff goes till 9 o'clock. And if I were in Arizona, it'd be no problem. So that's definitely the day-to-day gist. And I never really thought I would get here, which sounds naive. I now have to be in 2 places at once.
How often?
Probably once a quarter. It's not a ton, but I will fly into Arizona, or I will fly into Miami for a day, which is expensive and very exhausting.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to figure out, I have a business partner in both cities now, and that helps to alleviate like the pressure on me.
Yeah.
So still learning it all.
Yeah, I bet. Aren't we all the time?
Always.
You talked about when you moved to California, you didn't have like your contacts and all of that type of thing. And in real estate, you know, for somebody just getting into it, that's just getting started. I mean, even for our business, when we started, no portfolio, no, nothing to build off of, right? Mm-hmm. How would you get started? Like, how would you tell somebody to go about getting started? If
you are a new real estate agent, how I got started was 2 years straight of open houses, Wednesday to Sunday. Every holiday except for Christmas and Thanksgiving. So both of those eves, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, Mother's Day, Father's Day, I did not care, because most of the other agents are taking those days off. So I would show up and there wouldn't be a lot of open houses. Those are like warm, cold leads, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. I took every single rental lead that agents in the office, like the seasoned agents, that they didn't want. That was huge, because in a year they typically buy, and those agents don't want to have anything to do with them. So that was the second one. And I also I didn't really use social media to the way it could, but because I posted about being in real estate, it naturally drew people who, like I said, from my past, who already knew me. And that was like the easy route for me, but you can't rely on that if you need to actually make an income.
Yeah. No, for sure. And how do you go about getting business now? This is a question that I get from a lot of my clients. Like, what else can I do? Because I don't know how it is. I mean, obviously you're more established than some people. So you probably go about it different now, but this is always like, what else can I do to get business? Like, what are you doing?
I'm in that position in Miami. Again, I started a business for a fourth time and don't have a network in Miami. So I really hit the ground running going to network events, because I didn't want to hold open houses. There's a point in your career where you're just kind of like, I'll do it when I have to, and I just don't want to do them anymore.
Sure.
And so Miami's very Instagram based. I think done all the right things. I have a social media company. I try to post value as much as I can. And I'm unfortunate. I have not been able to like capture those leads from Instagram. So if somebody's able to do that, that should be your superpower, because that's like the new cold calling, you know? Mm-hmm. I'm actually going to start cold calling. I've never done it. I've never had to. So here I am being a beginner, and I'm going to start cold calling. And it really just is who you know. I kind of have a quote of like, just water the grass you have. Like, you don't need to constantly be going out. I know that's a long game, but it also depends on the office that you're in. Like, are they giving you leads? Do you have teams that you can work with? Like, there's so many different ways to go about it. And I'm finding, because I try to mentor new agents and or have an assistant typically that wants to be an agent. Mm-hmm. And I will say the appeal of social media has completely crushed the work ethic. Like, it almost just doesn't exist. I don't know what your experience is with that, but I keep finding that people, they want the end result and think that it happens overnight, or it's easier. And when you sit and see how timid they are and how uninterested they are in working hard and showing up put together, I'm confused. How do you think you're going to get anywhere if you don't put time, effort, and practice, preparation, knowledge? Like, you have to have experience, or else nobody's going to want to work with you. Yeah,
100%. I mean, you started off talking about what you do by basically saying, I work my ass off.
Oh,
you know, and not so many words. Yep.
I mean, it's ruined every relationship. This is the first relationship where he's super supportive. Because usually you go out of town and the business comes. So you go out of town and then you end up working the whole time, and you get back and you're like, really? My phone couldn't have rang like 2 weeks ago when I was at home? Yeah. So, you have to have like the supportive system in your life that really helps you stay on track, and they don't try to distract you.
Sure. Yeah. All right. So you said a whole bunch of stuff in there. All great, but like, it was all going in ways that I want to hit first. But before we go any further, you mentioned essentially working your sphere of influence, like everybody says, right? Like, it's not like the stuff when I haven't had my real estate license probably since like 2013. The stuff they tell you to do, business, it hasn't changed. It's the same. You know what I mean? The fundamentals are the same.
Yes.
How do you go about working the people that you know? Because, for example, I have a client that has a ton of very happy with him past clients, but he doesn't like calling them. Those are like the warmest, like easiest things. And, everybody says people love talking about real estate. It's true, right?
Oh,
people love. So by you calling them, you don't even have to bring it up. They'll bring it up for you. How do you deal with your sphere?
Yep. Calling past clients is by far the number one. I will say before COVID really changed the game, because if you were in the game beforehand, you had to have structure in place in order to get business. And then COVID came, and you were a freaking crazy person with your head chopped off, and you did not have to have any structure in place. So that it did ruin all my good habits. So I've had to reinstill everything. Mm-hmm. And so calling your database is number one. Like, the people who cold call and then don't keep touching the people that they've closed is wild to me. Why would you put all that work in, gain their trust, and then ditch them? It's literally, like you said, the warmest lead you could possibly have. My sphere, really, I break it down into, like, I have my VIPs. My VIPs are people who either spend a lot of money with me or have a lot of repeat business with me, or are out there working for me, and they love me, trust me, and want to always give my name out when somebody needs something, that those are my warriors. So I have those people. I make sure I see them. I make sure I talk to them. Listen, this is a very genuine relationship that I've established. It's not just, okay, you can bring me business, dollars in my eyes, I'm going to stay in touch with you. It's got to be a genuine relationship, because you want to make sure that they know you care about them as a person. And it's not just like your gateway to a paycheck.
Yeah. No, for sure.
Yeah. I think that's the thing. People, you don't want to be salesy. I hate being sold.
No, because it's somewhere along the line in a real estate transaction, in a lot of cases, I guess. I don't know if I want to say most, but either emotion gets involved or something. Like, I feel like people through the transaction get closer.
Absolutely. You're married. You are 100% married. And I always tell people, I'm like, all right, you ready to get married? Like, I make it a joke, because they move on with their life. I don't want to say they used you, but they needed you to get something done, a big significant milestone in their life. They needed you to check that box. So once they move into the house, or once they've sold the house, they kind of like forget about you. They don't really care anymore. And I always feel like a void, because you do become close with those people. So that's out of just like, hi, I miss you a little bit. Like, that's why I end up calling people, just to see how they're doing. Like, I put calendar reminders in. So it's 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 1 year reminders. And I call them or I text them, depending on the relationship. And I find out how they're doing. How's the house? Do you have any questions? What do you need? And that's part of the follow-up system. So then it's not just like random calls and then you're playing back and forth. You're very business oriented. So I'm sure you understand that. Like, I like to set it on my terms so that I can make sure I talk to them, but it's like when I have time. And almost every person is like, I cannot believe that I still hear from you. I cannot believe that you still talk to me. And then they come back to me, even those who don't answer my calls or respond to my text messages, they still come back to me in the future. Hey, do you have a referral for this? Hey, I sent you to a friend. So it's like, it might just be like me, blue, 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 blue in a text message. And then a year later, they pop in. So you never know.
Yeah, it's one of the easiest things. And I think, it's just, especially right now, it's like, it's crazy, because that's some of the legwork that just goes along with being successful in this business. And you're right, people, whether it was COVID or just they had built themselves to a place where they thought they were above all of that stuff. And now the market changed, it's getting tough for people, and they don't want to get back to basics. And it's holding them back, and it's like, it's so easy.
It's so easy.
Now the cold calls, on the other hand, is another story, but I still do it.
I was thinking of documenting that journey just to see, because I have no idea how it's going to work or how I'm going to feel. I can already feel myself kind of pushing it off. But at the same time, I was like, if I just like make a spoof out of it and I record myself and I put myself out there, I think it will be pretty fun to watch, and I'll be able to see how much I've improved. So it's kind of a dual
For sure.
purpose. Mm-hmm.
Goes along with having some thick skin.
Yeah, it really does. You have to have it in real estate. Definitely.
All right. So you're a yoga person? Do you still do yoga?
No, I switched.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like I had the best time, best teachers, best pupils, everything when I was in LA, and no one quite teaches yoga the way they teach it in LA. And so I kind of quit and came away from it. I just do have 45 now. How important is fitness for you in life and business? Yeah, it's super important. It is a part of my day. And that's why I like a 45, because it's only 45 minutes. So instead of taking an hour and a half with drive time and this and that, it's kind of like an hour 15. It only saves 15 minutes, I know, but like mentally, I just feel like I'm ahead of the day if I can do that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it is 100% super important. It's just part of like the self-respect, diligence, discipline. You feel good. Is it every day for you? Right. I do it in the morning so that it's over with. Yeah. I've never been a super morning person. And in the last few years, I've kind of transitioned myself and then I got off track because, sometimes, you have to get up super early to pull it off in the morning, or at least for me. Mm-hmm. And then a couple late nights and it screws it all up. And then it was such a fight to get it back to
to that schedule. So one of my New Year's resolutions, I guess you could say, wasn't to go to the gym. It was to get back in the morning. So far so good this year. But
so what's your schedule like? I'm curious, how did you switch, or was it a choice to switch from a night person to a morning person? And how did you do it?
I think it was more looking for ways to buy more time.
Yeah.
For work. You know what I mean? And it's easier to blow off the gym in the evening. And yeah, it's just to have that uninterrupted time. If I do it in I can work till whatever time I have to work, if I got it out of the way early. So
yeah. Yeah. I mean, you can so I wake up at 4, and I got to say, like, waking up at 4 is, for myself, it's my happy time. It's bliss. I can go to the gym. I can order from Amazon. I can work on my podcast. I can tie up loose ends, like, because it's uninterrupted time. It works best as a single person, and it works best if you're a single person with no social life. Yes. I don't want to say it's not feasible, because I know it is. And I do not care if people give me shit for getting up early or not staying out. That does not bother me at all. In fact, I feel like it's a praise secretly, because they're kind of a little jealous that, like, well, What are you doing? Everybody's so curious. What are you doing at 4 a.m? Yeah. But it's not feasible, because people don't want to go to dinner with you at 4 o'clock because I need to get in bed at 7:30. So it kind of screws up your social life. And part of being in real estate, part of building those connections is going to dinner. Most people want to go to dinner, not even at 6, but mainly at 7, 7:30, 8 o'clock. And it doesn't work for me. So it's kind of switched to, hey, you want to get a coffee? You want to go for a walk? What about lunch? And people are less inclined to agree to those meetings, I will say.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah.
Let's talk about, before we get off that. So what else do you do health-wise between the gym, any like supplements you take, anything cool that you're into?
Oh, what a funny question. I drink a gallon of water a day.
How do you pull that off?
I drink 1.5 liters pretty much before I go to the gym. Okay. So I have the 1.5 liters water bottle from Trader Joe's, and I drink the first half plain, and then I drink the second half with Glossy, which is, I also kind of promote that. And it's got hyaluronic acid, magnesium, vitamin C, collagen. It has like all these great things. And as much as I promote it, because if I don't drink it, I don't feel well, which is very strange. I've never had that feeling before. Yeah. So I have that 1.5 liters in before I go to the gym. So it makes the rest of the day super easy. Yeah. And I don't have to worry as much, because it's already like more than halfway there. Yeah. And then I have Kachava protein. I have 2 protein shakes a day, and sleep.
Does that stuff taste good?
It does. It's very expensive in my opinion. I think it's like $65 for auto ship. But it's pretty good. They actually just changed their recipe, so I'm not feeling it at the moment. But for years, it was very good.
I saw your Glossy thing. That's why I asked.
Oh, yeah. I know. I kind of stopped promoting it again. It like goes back to being salesy. Like, I don't like the salesy stuff, but I do believe in it, because as much as I would love to like get rid of that payment every month, I actually, like, my body just doesn't feel satisfied without it. It's interesting.
Yeah. I started taking Athletic Greens. Funny enough, one of my clients who's in the same building as our offices, he came in. He's like, "Yeah, I got an extra pack." He's like, "Do you want it?" I was like, "Yeah, okay, I'll try it," because I've been seeing it all over the internet. I'm like, it wasn't something noticeable to the point where it was like, a cup of coffee kicking in. But I think like after like a week, just something seemed a little more balanced. So then I was like, this feels good.
So I'm going to get on the train.
Yeah. But like, I asked you about a gallon of water because it's not, for me, I don't think it's hard to put down a gallon of water. Like I'll slam a liter in the morning, just get it over with, kind of like you said. And then, but it's almost like at a certain